They just handed Joe McCann his passport back. They think it's over. It's not over. Not even close. And if you read between the lines of what TMZ posted today, you'll understand why Ashley Jana's parents are about to break the internet wide open. Sit back. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to walk you through is not a story about a passport. This is a story about a smear machine, a paid-for narrative, a grieving family being publicly disrespected, and a man who thinks he's about to slide back into America like nothing ever happened. He is wrong. He is so unbelievably wrong. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly why. Listen, I'm going to say this plain, so nobody in the comments can twist it. Joe McCann has been cleared to fly back to the United States. That part is true. His American passport was returned to him in Tanzania. That part is also true. But every single sentence wrapped around those two facts has been engineered. Engineered by a publicist. Engineered by a lawyer who, by the way, also represents Donald Trump. Engineered by a media outlet that has now posted 4 exclusive Joe-friendly headlines in less than 5 days. 4 in 5 days. And not a single one of those headlines centers Ashlee. Not a single one centers her mother Yolanda. Not a single one centers her father Harry. Every angle, every quote, every exclusive source has been pointing one direction, and one direction only. Make Joe look like the grieving fiancé. Make Joe look like the cooperative citizen. Make Joe look like the victim of online rumors. And anybody with 2 eyes and half a working brain can see it. Let me back up. Because if you're new here, if you just clicked on this video, if you somehow stumbled into this case from the algorithm, I owe you the context first. Ashley Jana, a beloved influencer, a real artist, a real human being with a real family, passed away earlier this month in Tanzania. The first report, the first one, said she took her own life. That's what the early local authorities were leaning toward. That's the narrative Joe's camp was very, very comfortable with. Why? Because if she did it to herself, Joe walks. Joe goes home. Joe goes back to his crypto bros, his Fox News clips, his Salana bags, his hedge fund handshakes. Case closed. Move on. Influencer tragedy. Sad. Next. But that's not what happened. Because Ashlee's parents, Harry and Yolanda, looked at the world and said no. Absolutely not. Not our daughter. Not like this. And Ashlee's friends, her colleagues, content creators across this platform, you the viewers in the comment sections, y'all said no too. And the story refused to die. The story got louder. The story crossed borders. Tanzanian authorities had no choice. Investigators had to look again. Joe had no choice. He had to stay. He had to hand over his passport. He had to sit in that country for almost a full month while the real investigation, the real one, began to crack open. And that brings us to today, May 8th, the day TMZ decided to write a love letter to Joe McCann and disguise it as journalism. Let me read the headline back to you the way it was written. And let me show you exactly where the manipulation lives. Influencer Ashley Jana's fiancé, Joe McCann, cleared to return to the United States. Sounds neutral, right? Sounds like a fact. But look at the word choice. Cleared. That single word is doing acrobatics. Because cleared to travel is not the same as cleared by investigators. Those are 2 completely different sentences. One means his passport is in his hand. The other means he is no longer a suspect. And TMZ, a publication staffed with lawyers, editors, fact-checkers, knows the difference. They chose that word on purpose. They chose it because they know exactly how a casual reader's brain will translate it. Cleared reads as innocent. Cleared reads as exonerated. Cleared reads as case closed. It's not. And buried 6 paragraphs deep in the same article. In the smallest, most easy to miss line, they actually admit it. They wrote, and I quote, "Authorities haven't said publicly if Joe has been officially cleared by authorities in the investigation." Read that again. Read it slowly. Authorities haven't said publicly if Joe has been officially cleared. That sentence by itself is the entire story. That sentence should have been the headline. Joe McCann not cleared by Tanzanian authorities, but allowed to return to U.S. soil. That's the headline. That's the truth. But that headline doesn't help Joe. So they buried it. And then they did something even more disgusting. They wrote the very next line. But clearly Joe is not under intense suspicion if they're letting him leave. Excuse me? Clearly? Clearly to who? Clearly based on what? That is not journalism. That is a publicist's whisper in print. Because here is the actual legal reality, and pay attention because this is the part nobody is explaining to you correctly. You can be the number one suspect on the planet. You can be the only person standing in the room when something terrible happened, and authorities can still hand you back your passport. Why? Because there are limits to how long any country can hold any person without formally charging them. In the United States, depending on the state, the window is anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. In Tanzania, the rules are more lax. They can hold you longer, but there is still a ceiling. There is still a clock. And at the 30-day mark, in a case where you have not been formally arrested, you have not been formally charged, and the investigation is still ongoing, eventually the document has to go back to the person it belongs to. That is not innocence. That is procedure. Procedure and innocence are not the same word. Write that down. Tattoo it on your forearm. Procedure and innocence are not the same word. They have never been the same word. They are not going to magically become the same word because a TMZ writer decided to be lazy with a verb today. If you want a perfect, current, real-life, the whole case was built. The whole case was loaded. The whole case was sitting on a desk in a prosecutor's office while that man was out here walking around thinking he was untouchable. So when somebody tells me if they let him leave, he must be cleared, I'm sorry, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to point at David, because the receipts are right there. The pattern is right there. A free man today can be a charged man tomorrow. And not just charged with capital exposure, charged with potential life, charged with the kind of paperwork that ends with somebody being walked into a courtroom in shackles while a judge counts off a printout that takes 10 minutes to get through. So please, anybody out here typing, but they let him go, so he must be innocent in the comment sections, I love you, but you need to update your operating system. That is not how prosecution works. That is not how international investigations work. That is not how multi-jurisdictional cases get built. The arrest is the last step, not the first one. The arrest is the curtain call, not the casting call. The arrest happens when the prosecution is ready to win, not when the public is ready to clap. And once that arrest finally lands, it lands with everything. It lands with wiretaps you didn't know existed, witnesses you never saw, financial trails you couldn't have imagined, digital evidence measured in terabytes, and a prosecutor walking into court with a confidence so thick you can smell it from the gallery. That is what a built case looks like. That is what David is about to walk into. That is what Joe McCann should be terrified of, whether or not he is right now sipping a drink on a Boeing 777, thinking the worst is behind him. Now back to TMZ, back to this article, back to the manipulation, because we are only getting started. Joe's lawyer, Edward. And remember the name Edward, because Edward is in everybody's mouth this week. Edward told TMZ that authorities in Tanzania returned Joe's American passport to him yesterday after he remained in Tanzania for nearly a month while cooperating with authorities. Cooperating. There's the word. Cooperating. Like he was sitting at a table answering questions for 30 straight days. Like he was on the phone with detectives every morning. Like he was meeting with prosecutors at noon and then having lunch with Ashlee's parents at 1. No, he was not. He was silent. He was completely, totally, eerily silent for the entire first month. He did not speak to Ashlee's mother. He did not speak to Ashlee's father. He did not speak to her brothers, her sisters, her cousins, her aunts, her uncles, her best friends, her producers, her label, her glam team. Nobody. The first time the world heard anything resembling Joe's voice was on Tuesday, May 5th, the literal day of Ashlee's funeral, the very day her parents were burying their child. That is the day Joe McCann decided to post a public love letter. Tuesday, funeral day, not the day after she passed, not a week after, not on her birthday, not at a vigil. The day they walked behind her casket. That is when he chose to speak. That is not cooperation. That is performance. That is calendar work. That is a publicist with a deployment schedule. That is somebody opening a Google Doc, drafting a caption, AIB testing 2 versions of the same paragraph, picking the one with the better emotional cadence, and scheduling it to drop at the exact moment the family is at their absolute most vulnerable, so that any criticism of him reads as criticism of a man in mourning. That is the chess. That is the game. That is the operating system Joe's team is running on. And if you're not paying attention with both eyes open, you will not see it. Now, the next line in the article. Edward clarifies this was not a newly issued passport from the State Department. Why does Edward feel the need to clarify that? Why is that even in the article? Let me tell you why. Because there are whispers. There have always been whispers. Whispers that Joe is a shady operator. Whispers that he hangs around dark corners of the crypto world. Whispers about previous money issues, previous platforms, previous accusations. So the legal team is getting ahead of it. Getting ahead of the idea that he might be the type of man who could pull strings, grease palms, manufacture documents. They want you, the reader, to picture an upstanding American gentleman walking calmly into an embassy, sliding his passport across a desk, and patiently waiting for the bureaucratic system to bless him with its return. That's the image they're painting. Paint it any way you want. The fact remains, the man stayed in Tanzania not because he wanted to, not because he was on vacation, not because he had a deeper spiritual journey to complete. He stayed because the investigation had him pinned to the ground. That is the only reason. Take all that pain off, and that's what's underneath. A man who could not leave. A man who was watched. A man whose every movement was monitored by an authority structure that, at minimum, considered him a person of interest. You don't surrender a U.S. passport on foreign soil because you feel like being helpful. You surrender it because somebody has politely informed you that you are not free to fly. And anybody who has ever traveled internationally knows that giving up your passport in a country where you do not have citizenship is the closest thing to legal limbo a human being can experience. You are not in jail, but you are not free. You are not charged, but you are not unsuspected. You are not officially anything, but you are unofficially everything. That is the gray zone Joe McCann lived in for 30 days. And TMZ wants you to picture it as a long, sad sabbatical with room service and a view. And then there's this line, the line that when I read it the first time, I had to pause and walk around my room. Joe will be arriving sometime soon at an undisclosed location on U.S. soil. Undisclosed. Location. Sometime. Soon. Let those 4 words sit on your tongue. Roll them around. Taste them. Because innocent men do not need undisclosed locations. Grieving fiancés do not need undisclosed locations. A man who is supposedly cleared, supposedly cooperative, supposedly the loving partner of a woman the world just buried. That man should be flying directly to Ashlee's parents' driveway. That man should be on the front porch with a bouquet, with an apology, with 1,000 questions, with tears, with answers, with every single shred of information he has about the last hours of her life. That man should be saying, Yolanda, Harry, sit down. Let me tell you everything I know. Let me help you find justice. Let me be the second voice in this fight. But he's not. He's going to an undisclosed location. Why? Why does Joe McCann need to hide? Why does an innocent man need a safe house? Why does the grieving fiancé need a witness protection style return to a country he is legally allowed to walk freely inside? The answer is simple, and the answer is the whole case. He knows. He knows you don't believe him. He knows the comment sections are not on his side. He knows the content creators are not on his side. He knows the family is not on his side. And his team, his very expensive, very strategic team, is doing math in real time. They are reading every comment under every one of these articles. They are clocking which lines get pushed back. They are adjusting. They are tightening. They are dripping the narrative out one TMZ exclusive at a time, watching the temperature in the room and adapting like a chess engine. And the undisclosed location is the strategic equivalent of pulling the king off the board for a turn. Hide him. Insulate him. Keep him out of camera range. Keep him out of subpoena range. Keep him out of the parents' driveway. Keep him from accidentally bumping into a journalist in an airport who actually asks the questions TMZ refuses to ask. That is what an undisclosed location buys you. It is not a sanctuary. It is a containment zone. Let me say something I have been saying since day one, since the very first video I ever uploaded about this case. Why is Joe McCann the only person in Ashlee's entire universe who believes she took her own life? The only one, out of every single human being who knew her. And we are talking about an enormous orbit. This is a famous woman. This is a connected woman. This is a beloved woman. Out of all of them, exactly one person publicly says, yeah, I could see it. I understand. She was struggling. One, Joe, not her mother, not her father, not her brothers, not her sisters, not her cousins, not her aunts, Not her uncles. Not her oldest friends from middle school. Not her glam team who saw her every week. Not her label. Not her tour managers. Not Joe Budden. Not Cardi B. Not a single person in the entertainment industry who broke bread with her. Zero. Joe is on an island of one, a solo theory, a theory of convenience. And anybody with a basic understanding of human behavior knows that when an entire community of people who loved someone unanimously rejects a narrative, and only the romantic partner clings to that narrative, you're looking at something. You're looking at something very, very specific. I am not naming it. I do not have to name it. The pattern names itself. Detectives have a phrase for this. Investigators have a phrase for this. Behavioral analysts have an entire chapter for this in every textbook on the shelf. The lone voice phenomenon. The single dissenting narrator. The one person who insists, against every other testimony, that the story must be read a certain way. There is a name for that person. There is always a name for that person. And history, every single closed case in modern American legal record, tells us exactly who that person tends to be. Now back to the article because there is still more. Despite online rumors, Joe was never arrested or locked up. Edward says it. TMZ prints it. They want this line near the top, so it imprints. Joe was never in a cell. Joe was never in cuffs. Joe was never booked. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, until the casual reader walks away thinking that not being arrested is the same as being innocent. It is not. It has never been. Not being arrested only means the prosecution wasn't ready yet. Not being arrested only means the case wasn't built yet. Not being arrested only means there was, at that exact moment, not enough on paper to walk a judge into signing a warrant. That's all it means. And in international jurisdictions with cross-border cooperation, with a U.S. citizen on foreign soil, with diplomatic considerations, with embassies talking to embassies, the bar to formally arrest somebody is not the same bar as your standard American street arrest. The mechanics are different. The timeline is different. The optics are different. So never arrested is not a defense. It is a status update. Nothing more. And every prosecutor watching this video right now is nodding along, because every prosecutor has watched some version of this exact pattern play out 100 times. The pre-arrest performance, the cooperative posture, the carefully drafted public statements, the press kit dressed up as grief, the lawyers placing favorable stories in friendly outlets. They have seen this dance. They have seen this dance close out in handcuffs more times than any of us can count. They are watching this dance right now with the same calm, knowing as a poker player watches a bluff he has already seen 10,000 times. They are not impressed. They are not fooled. They are taking notes. And those notes eventually become the indictment. And then, the smear. The actual, openly published, blatant smear of Ashlee's mother. They wrote, and again, I am quoting them directly, Ashlee's family told us they haven't heard from Joe since their daughter's passing. But we're told Joe was left on read by Ashlee's mother. Left on read. They highlighted it, bolded it, quoted it, like it was the punchline of a Twitter beef. Like Yolanda, a woman who just lost her child, a woman who just walked behind a casket, a woman who is right now coordinating an independent autopsy on her daughter's body in the United States, while half the internet debates her grieving process. Like that woman is the bad guy because she did not respond to text. Are you out of your minds? Are you actually out of your minds? Let me walk you through what actually happened, because I have been close enough to this story to know. Ashlee arrived at the hospital. Joe was there. Joe sat in that hospital for hours. 11 hours. 11. And in those 11 hours, he did not call her mother. He did not call her father. He did not pick up a phone and dial the two people on this planet who had the deepest possible right to know what was happening to their daughter. The hospital called them. That is why she left him on read. Not because she is a horrible person. Not because she is cold. Because she is a mother. And a mother knows. A mother always knows. And when the man who claims to have loved her daughter spends 11 hours in a hospital not calling, and then sends some clinical, manicured, suspicious nonsense by text, a mother makes a decision. She makes the only decision a woman with that much intuition can make. And TMZ now wants to turn that grieving silence into a villain origin story for Yolanda. It is repulsive. It is the most repulsive thing I have seen printed about this case yet. And I have seen a lot. Think about the 11 hours for a second. Really sit with it. 11 hours is a transatlantic flight. 11 hours is a full work shift plus overtime. 11 hours is enough time to drive from New York to North Carolina without speeding. 11 hours is enough time for a baby to be born from start to finish. And Joe McCann spent 11 of them sitting in a hospital where his fiancé had just lost her life, and during that entire span he would not, pick up a phone and call her parents. What was he doing? Genuinely, what was he doing? Was he on the phone with Edward? Was he on the phone with a publicist? Was he on the phone with a crypto associate? Was he scrubbing devices? Was he drafting an alibi? Was he coordinating with somebody about what had to be said, what had to be deleted, what had to be aligned? 11 hours is not grief. 11 hours is logistics. 11 hours is a war room. 11 hours is a man treating the worst day of someone else's life like a project plan. And every single second of that 11-hour window, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be reconstructed later. Phone records, cell tower pings, hotel hallway cameras, hospital surveillance, Wi-Fi logs. Every single second. You cannot eat 11 hours of forensic time and expect it to digest quietly. It does not work that way. The timeline gets rebuilt. The timeline always gets rebuilt. And when that timeline finally hits a courtroom, every minute of those 11 hours is going to feel like a guilty plea read out loud in slow motion in front of a jury that already made up its mind by the time the prosecution finished its opening statement. Let's pause and zoom out, because this is important. I have been telling you all week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Friday, every single day, TMZ has dropped an exclusive. Every single day. And every single one of those exclusives has bent the narrative 1 degree further in Joe's direction. 1 degree at a time. That is not coincidence. That is a campaign. That is a paid, planned, coordinated, public relations campaign. I genuinely believe, and I will say this on camera until somebody proves me otherwise, TMZ has been bought. Not the entire outlet maybe, but this specific story? Somebody's hand is in there. Somebody is feeding. Somebody is steering. The exclusivity is too clean. The framing is too consistent. The timing is too convenient. 4 exclusives, 0 contradictions, 0 pushback paragraphs, 0 quotes from the family that aren't framed negatively. That is not journalism. That is a publicist's PowerPoint deck delivered in HTML. And the comment section under every one of those articles. Watch the top comment. Always sympathetic to Joe. Always early. Always pinned by engagement. The most recent article I just read aloud had a top comment from somebody called Mr. Blonde, posted 3 hours before the article gained traction, saying, and I quote, "After a month-long investigation, it's time to accept the case at face value." Mr. Blonde, 3 hours old, floating above newer comments, on TMZ's own platform, with TMZ's own moderation tools. Tell me with a straight face that comment is organic. Tell me. I'll wait. Now let me tell you what I am not going to do. I am not going to spill everything Ashlee's parents have. I am not going to. I sat in that wake. I sat in that funeral. I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard. I know things you do not know yet. And I am respecting Harry and Yolanda's pace. I am respecting Harry and Yolanda's process. That is their daughter. Not mine. Not yours. Not TMZ's. Theirs. And the way they want this to unfold is the way it is going to unfold. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this in the most direct way I know how. Ashlee's body has not been buried. Read that twice. Her body has not been buried. There is a reason. There is a specific, deliberate, legal, strategic reason. An independent autopsy is happening on United States soil. There is footage somewhere that has not been seen. There is hotel surveillance somebody is reviewing right now. There are workers from the property who gave statements. There are timelines being reconciled. There are phones being pulled. There are bank accounts being looked at. There are crypto wallets being traced. There are people being interviewed who have not yet been named publicly. And when the moment comes, when Harry and Yolanda decide the moment has come, Joe McCann is not going to be hiding at an undisclosed location with a glass of wine and a calendar of Fox News bookings. Joe McCann is going to be in a very, very different room. A room with no windows. A room with a metal table. A room where Edward, the Donald Trump lawyer, the very expensive defense lawyer, is going to be sitting beside him with a face that finally, for the first time in this entire ordeal, drops its TMZ smile and replaces it with the exhausted, gray, courtroom face every defense lawyer eventually grows into when the evidence stops being deniable. Now let's talk about who Joe actually is. Because if you are a casual viewer, if you are just learning his name, you might picture some quiet, soft-spoken tech guy, some thoughtful, bookish founder, some nerdy partner standing in the background of Ashlee's life. He is not that. Joe McCann is a crypto evangelist. Joe McCann is a guy who has done national television hits, Fox Business, CNBC clips, industry podcasts, conferences, stage time. He sat on panels and gave market predictions. He talked about global liquidity. He talked about Solana. He talked about McCann's. He talked about, and I am going to quote a clip of him directly, because you need to hear it. He talked about that is the energy of the man. That is the vibe. That is who has been radio silent for 30 days while his fiancé's family screamed into the void. A guy who is normally on every podcast, on every panel, on every Twitter space, suddenly cannot find a microphone. Suddenly cannot find a thumb to type with. Suddenly cannot find a single platform to express grief. Until, miraculously, on funeral day, the words arrive. Polished, curated, caption-ready, convenient. And the second I rewatched those crypto clips back to back with the TMZ article, my stomach turned. Because the cadence is the same. The careful word selection is the same. The strategic ambiguity is the same. The I don't care, it's happening energy is the same energy that decided to stay silent for 30 days and then surface on funeral day. You cannot unsee it once you see it. That is the same operator. That is the same brain. That is the same playbook. And if you have ever sat across from a crypto founder pitching you a token he knew was going to collapse in 6 months, you know exactly the kind of smile I am describing right now. Calm, smooth, rehearsed, hollow. And let's go 1 inch deeper because this matters. The world Joe McCann operates in, the crypto fund, hedge bro, conference circuit world. That world runs on optics. That world runs on capital flowing toward whoever looks the cleanest. That world runs on LinkedIn-style reputation laundering at scale. So when Joe comes back to the United States, when he lands at his undisclosed location, the very first move on his agenda is rehabilitation, restoration. He needs the TMZ articles to do their job. He needs the comment sections to soften. He needs the brothers to be able to defend him at dinner with their wives. He needs the next investor pitch to begin without a 30-second explainer about the dead fiancé in Tanzania. He needs to walk into a room and have everybody already convinced by the press kit that landed in their inbox before he showed up. That is the goal. That is the entire purpose of this 5-day TMZ rollout. It is not for you and me. It is for the partners. It is for the LPs. It is for the funds. It is for the next round. The article is not aimed at the public. The article is aimed at capital. The article is aimed at the kind of money that does not Google past page 1. The kind of money that reads a TMZ headline, decides the matter is settled, signs a term sheet, and moves on with its day. That money is who Joe McCann is fighting for right now. Not Ashlee. Not Ashlee's memory. Not Ashlee's family. Not justice. The money. The next round. The future bag. That is the prize. That is what we are looking at. I want to come back to one specific TMZ line one more time, because it is the part that ought to be tattooed on every viewer's brain before they leave this video. Authorities haven't said publicly if Joe has been officially cleared by authorities in the investigation. That is them telling on themselves. That is them in writing, admitting that the framing of their own headline does not match the legal reality. They wrote the truth in one sentence and then immediately wrapped it in marketing. If TMZ wanted to be responsible, that line is the lead. That line is the banner. That line is the push notification. Joe McCann not cleared by authorities, but permitted to return to US. That is the honest version. They will not run it. They will not run it because somebody somewhere has asked them not to. That is my position. Prove me wrong, TMZ. I dare you. The way you prove me wrong is not by calling me, not by emailing me, not by inviting me on a panel. The way you prove me wrong is to spend the next 5 days posting 5 headlines that center Ashlee, center Yolanda, center Harry, center her music, center her legacy. 5 for 5. Match the count. You gave Joe 5. Give her 5. Do that and I will recant on camera. I will eat the words. I will say I was wrong about you. But until that happens, my position stands. You have been compromised on this story, and you have helped a man with a passport and a publicist disrespect a family in mourning. And by the way, to whoever inside TMZ is feeling a little uncomfortable watching this right now, I know somebody in that newsroom is watching. I know somebody in that newsroom has a daughter. I know somebody in that newsroom has a sister. I know somebody in that newsroom is doing the math on what side of history the spy line is going to land on. To that person, whoever you are, there is still time. There is still time to publish the honest version. There is still time to be the writer who broke the real story instead of the writer who carried Edward's water. The choice is still on your keyboard. So where does that leave us? It leaves us right here, in this exact moment, with Joe McCann boarding a flight, with his lawyer issuing statements, with his publicist refreshing TMZ's homepage, with his crypto network warming up the welcome wagon, and with Yolanda, Harry, and a team of investigators on 2 continents doing the actual work in silence, quietly, methodically, patiently, building. The hotel cameras are not going anywhere. The independent autopsy report is not going anywhere. The witnesses are not going anywhere. The phone records are not going anywhere. The financial trails are not going anywhere. The truth is not going anywhere. And neither are we. Not me. Not you in the comments. Not the content creators who refused to let this story die in week 1. Not the millions of strangers who decided that Ashley Jana deserved more than a one-day news cycle and a sad face emoji. We are still here. We are still watching. We are still counting. And when Harry and Yolanda decide it is time, the world is going to look at every single TMZ article from this week and feel sick, genuinely sick, because it will be obvious, it will be embarrassing for everybody who ran cover, and it will be a permanent stain on a publication that decided clicks were worth more than a grieving mother. Screenshots last forever. The internet remembers. Every single one of those 4 exclusives is archived right now in a dozen places. Last thing, the most important thing, to Yolanda, to Harry, if you are watching, and I know somebody in your circle sends you these videos, keep going. Keep going at your pace. Keep going your way. You do not owe the public a single timeline. You do not owe the internet a single update. You do not owe TMZ a single response. You owe Ashlee everything, and only Ashlee, and you are giving her everything in the only way that actually matters. The way that ends with the truth in daylight. The way that ends with a man at an undisclosed location getting a knock on the door he was not expecting. The way that ends with the world finally understanding that there is a reason her body has not been buried. We are with you. We are waiting with you. And we are not going anywhere. Whatever pace you choose, whatever method you choose, whatever angle you choose, the entire outlaw army on this channel and dozens of other channels is following your lead. Not Edward's lead. Not the publicist's lead. Not TMZ's lead. Yours. Only yours. Take the time you need. Take the silence you need. Take every breath you need to take. We will be here when the curtain finally drops. We will be the loudest voice in the room when you give us the green light to be loud. And until then, every breath of silence from your camp is its own kind of evidence. Strategic silence is a weapon, and the right hands know exactly how to swing it. Let me also address the people in the comment section right now typing, "You don't know what you're talking about." I welcome you. Truly. Stay. Watch. Argue. Disagree. That is exactly what makes this conversation healthy. But before you type, ask yourself one question. 1. Has anybody on Joe's side answered a single direct question publicly since this happened? Not Edward in a TMZ paragraph. Not a publicist statement. A real, unscripted, on camera. Live question with a follow-up. Has anybody? The answer is no. And until the answer is yes, my skepticism is earned. My skepticism is paid for in 11 silent hospital hours, 30 silent days for TMZ exclusives, an undisclosed location, a Donald Trump lawyer, and one lone voice on an island insisting the story has to be read one specific convenient way. That is the price of admission for my skepticism, and I am happy to pay it every single day until somebody answers the questions. Until then, every TMZ paragraph is a paragraph I am going to read out loud, sentence by sentence on this channel, until the manipulation stops being subtle and starts being obvious to every single person who scrolls past it. Subtle manipulation only works on people who are not paying attention. So our entire job from this video forward is to make sure everybody is paying attention. One more thing before we close out, because I know somebody is going to ask in the comments. People keep messaging me, what about the friends? What about the people who were with Ashlee in Tanzania those final days? What about the staff at the hotel? What about the driver? What about anybody who saw her last? I hear you. I see those messages. I am not ignoring them. There are statements out there. There are witnesses out there. There are accounts that have been given to the right people. They're not in a TMZ article, and they're not going to be in a TMZ article anytime soon, because TMZ is not asking. TMZ is taking dictation from Edward. They're not investigating. They are transcribing. There is a difference, and that difference is the entire reason this channel exists. We're going to keep digging, keep asking, keep reading between the lines, keep watching the comment sections, keep watching the bot accounts, keep watching every word, until the actual story finally surfaces. And it will surface. It always does. Truth has a way of breaking through manicured press releases the same way water breaks.